Linen trousers.
Linen trousers. Hopefully everyone heard that. Good evening, everyone. It is us. We are in the garden again.
Hi,
it's
everyone.
Emily and Alan from Baylily Bell Tents, the outside bride. We admin and own and whatever other words we're meant to use, who knows. And tonight is Ask an Expert. What number is it?
I have no idea. I've lost count.
Well, I've lost count, but I've looked about 5 times. I think tonight is Ask an Expert number 20. It's number 28. Who would have thought this?
You say that every week. Who would have thought?
I don't say it every week, but I do say it a lot. But who would have thought we would have still been going?
Hi, Hannah. Hannah has her reminder on every week now to make sure she's on in time.
No. Hi, Hannah, and hi everyone else who's on. We don't know who you are, but so hello. Feel free to say hello, and please do feel free to ask any questions. We are in the garden. We're in a different view tonight for our regular watchers, because over there where we normally sit, there's
a giant.
Is Becky Ann. Hello, Becky Ann. I said it like that, Becky, because I don't think I've ever seen your name before. So hello, welcome to the Outside Bride Ask an Expert. It's a pleasure having you here. Are you a bride or are you?
Don't really say that's Becky Ann.
Are you like? It's about that big, and Emily's just.
Oates.
Oh, is it Becky Oates?
I think.
Oh right. If it's Becky Oates, I'm here and watching tonight. Fab. Thank you, Becky. Anyway, over there is stuff. I say we don't want you to see. We don't really care if you see it. It just doesn't look very. Thank you, Emma. Thank you. I like to don the odd Hawaiian shirt. There's a story there. Very quickly, I only wear vests or Hawaiian shirts unless I'm out with Baylily Bell Tents t-shirts on.
True story.
It is Becky from QE2.
It's really cute actually, because Ben, our middle child, turns 3 tomorrow.
3 tomorrow.
And he's having a bit of a birthday party on Saturday, and we've managed to find, Tiger or Tiger, whatever it is, the shop.
Tiger. Yes.
The European shop with all
the
the
shop
really
we were
cool
in
stuff.
yesterday.
He's got some Hawaiian shirt-shaped paper plates and.
At proud dad moment, we have 3 children. Lily Rose is the oldest, Ben's the middle, and Joseph's the baby. They're all like 4 and under. But myself, Ben, and Joseph, we have matching flamingo shirts. Not matching, sorry. We all have flamingo shirts and we all have pineapple shirts, so we can match our shirts when we go out. Proud dad moment. All I need now is matching yellow speedos for when we're at the beach. That's just me, isn't it? And what I'm going to say, what we've been up to this week, I had one big one I was going to mention.
Carry on.
So you're very quiet tonight.
I'm a little bit jaded.
Emily's jaded, but Joseph took a little bit of time to get to sleep tonight. With Baylily Bell, actually we've plastered this all over the place, but it was so amazing and cool to look at that I still wanted to talk about and relevant to you guys. But we were at a Baylily Bell Tents job up near Bisley last weekend. Up the M3. Just outside London, wherever, whatever you know how to get there. And they had, and we're putting some bell tents up for them, and he said, oh, I'd like to show you my setup. Like, normally they like to show us, and we absolutely love it. If they don't offer to show us, we're always asking. Because that's where like the outside bride and everything came about. And we went over and they had twin geodesic domes joined with a little walkway, and then they had a 6-metre pagoda on the edge, which actually is what's over there, but that's another story. And it looked fab, and we first found out about these from Hannah Richardson, who in this group, who I tagged in the post about them this week. But that's Claire Dix.
Hi, Claire.
But this is the first time we've been at a venue with them. And actually, it really blew my mind how different it is. Cause
they're stunning.
They are
they're
stunning.
Kind of almost like sci-fi looking from afar.
Yes.
Bit Crystal Maze-ish, but the amount. I mean, I wasn't actually there personally on the setup, but from the photos, Alan, the amount of usable space you have inside those domes, it was really quite amazing, wasn't it?
Yes.
The thing with teepees, again, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, is the fact with the teepee, you've obviously your apex is quite. It's quite.
The apex is at the top.
The drop.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. You did say correct me if I'm wrong, and you were wrong.
You lose quite a lot of space in that. Same with the stretch or anything like that, because obviously you're curving the sides down with a clear span marquee, or I suppose the domes as well. You get so much more usable space for people to stand.
It was, and what I really liked is one of the domes was seating. I don't know what the diameter is. It's Bayer higher. If we've tagged them, feel free to go and have a look. One of the domes was seating. The kind of connection was bar and mingle. the next dome was dance floor, and this couple had a white dance floor. And I'll be honest, team of you out there tonight, I don't think I've ever seen a pure white dance floor before. Obviously seen black and white, and obviously seen, what's the other one when
Parquet.
it's parquet. But I'd never seen a white, just white. Oh, it's black and white without the black, with the black removed. You know, it's not complicated. But I don't think I'd ever seen one at a wedding, and we've seen a lot of weddings. So we're calling that, aren't we?
Yeah.
As
next trend.
Next trend is white dance floors, and that comes. Actually, we've talked about this a lot. We think the kind of shabby chic, almost vintage feel is segueing into more crisp, clean lines.
We're finding that a lot. I mean,
actually, I say crisp, clean lines, but these domes are still crisp and clean lines, aren't they?
Yeah.
And with the white dance floor, still fits under the crisp, clean lines.
We're finding a lot more in terms of taller floral displays and in centres of tables, rather than having the lower, more rustic jam jarry type effect. There's still lots of people doing that, and they look beautiful, but we're finding a lot more tall centerpieces.
Yeah, well, nothing's wrong, is it?
Simple
so
tables,
we're just saying that's where the trend seems to be going.
Clean tablecloths that are maybe different colours rather than just be white. Everything's very simplistic, and it's looking really nice.
I'll tell you where the proof in the pudding. Our Hessian runners haven't been hired for ages. No one wants Hessian runners. If you want Hessian runners, feel free to contact us.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's nice, especially in the outdoor environments that you guys are getting married in. There's been a really nice contrast between those clean lines and minimal tables to the outdoor kind of, all the flowers outside.
Well, I
spilling out onto the grass.
I think you're right, because I think the outdoor wedding / DIY outdoor wedding, I know it's the same thing, but they're two different banners, but kind of the same thing. And it was always an element of festival, wasn't it? And that conjures up mud and all these other, grass and hay bales. But really, actually, I think with the weather we're having, and we've talked about this, like that the staycation has basically evolved into loving our country, and so the outdoor weddings are evolving from that festival thing, which is not wrong, it's still lovely, into people wanting it, but in a more crisp, clean way.
Who would have thought?
Clean's wrong word,
Six
sorry.
months ago,
crisp,
right?
clear.
6 months ago, who would have said that the UK seawater was higher temperature than that in Los Angeles?
Oh, is it? Do you know what? We haven't been to the beach. We might have to go.
We are absolutely
I quite like
loving this. I think, and if this happens for the next
what?
couple
Oh,
of
whoa,
seasons,
whoa, whoa! We're international. We are officially international. Hello, welcome, Cheryl or Cheryl. I'm rolling with watching from Vancouver Island in Canada.
Oh, lovely to see you here.
Wow, we are officially international.
So
that means you pay me more now.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, whatever.
So rolling into this evening. So if anyone's new to this group, a big welcome to you all. We've been going since about January, February time, and we're basically
28 weeks.
28 weeks.
Yes.
Not the film though. But we're basically here every week. We have the blog and we have the group, and you guys are all fantastic. But we're here literally every week to discuss any aspect of your outdoor wedding. And outdoor weddings, we cover farm weddings, woodland weddings, marquee weddings, teepee weddings,
back garden weddings,
tea parties, anything like that. Rooftop terraces in the middle of city weddings, anything that has some outdoor space where you are celebrating in the outdoors, we're here to help you. And this session here every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, is designed to help you with any part of that planning process that you're stuck on, or you need a little bit of guidance on, or you just need a little bit of inspiration. We're here to help guide you through those processes. We can talk from anything from what to put on your tables, to types of music you might want, to generator power,
we do a lot of lighting, a lot of generators.
Finding toilet blocks, all those kind of really the practicalities of an outdoor wedding, as well as the prettiness as well. So if you have anything big or small, feel free to type it in the box, and we will try our hardest to get through that tonight. Have you got Sylvie's question from last week that we forgot about?
No, but I can get Sylvie's question from last week.
One thing
Sylvie's question from... Sorry, I remember it.
Okay,
so Sylvie, long-time listener, first-time caller. Actually, long-time listener, regular caller. Yeah. Her question was... It was a really good one, actually, I felt. It's one of those very simple things, but when you want your day to be as amazing as possible... And she said, when do I light my lights, my outdoor lights? And I thought and there was a couple of responses. Shall I go and find it? Because there was a couple of responses. Basically, for new people, I have a computer here where I check everything when we're going along.
First things first, really, make sure you have delegated someone to have that specific task of being the tea light lighter of choice. That could be a bridesmaid, that could be an usher, that could be a parent, anyone like that, give them that responsibility. Don't worry about it. Or if you've got a wedding planner, get them to go outside and do it. We tried that on our wedding day, and unfortunately we didn't have the best. It was a beautiful sunny day, but we had really high winds, and it was literally we were lighting the tapers.
If we're honest, we just didn't think about it, did we?
No.
We went, and Emily and I are both like, it's built into us to plan. Hi Natasha, you're right. And Yvonne, hi. It's built into us to plan, so when we miss something off, it actually cuts quite deep. And we just didn't factor in lighting all of this stuff. And was it Kate, one of your bridesmaids, who was running around, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I would say personally, kind of after your main meal, so if you're having a traditional sit-down meal or anything like that around 4, 5, 6 o'clock, and then you've got your evening entertainment starting, the best time to start that will be just before your evening entertainment is due to start. That way you have that kind of mingling time anyway after people have eaten and people are going into that transition to the evening. What are you saying? There's always a bit of milling around time. Yeah. So at that point, give a bridesmaid or a person of choice that responsibility to go and light them then, because then they can go and enjoy their evening, have a great time as well. And you kind of get that twilight. If you're having candles outside, especially if there's citronella in this type of weather when there's bugs around, get them lit early, because that'll give a chance for the citronella to kind of do its stuff outside, and it'll get that ambience going quite early on.
Because with my male practical head on, your lights and candles can be lit too late, but technically they can't be, unless they've got a lifespan, they can't be lit too early.
Same with fairy lights, outdoor fairy lights. If you are using electricity, just switch them on. If you're using battery powered ones, a lot of the fairy lights that we use, particularly, we use a company called Lights for Fun, and they have their battery powered packs are fantastic, but they have a 6-hour lifespan, so literally you can switch them on, and then after 6 hours
they have a 6-hour timer.
So a timer, they'll switch themselves off after 6 hours. So if you light them about 7, you'll get through the entire evening and not have to worry about turning them off later on, because they'll do it themselves and not have to waste any battery.
Yeah, I think I basically, like you say, it's kind of raw practical answer, like about 10 minutes ago. If you look at the sunset tonight, it's 7:45 tonight, so the sun goes down 9:45 tonight, something like that. So about 8 o'clock, because the twinkling light in the dusk and the sunset, it will probably be better for pictures than the pitch black, I imagine.
And I will be honest, if you are having a party and you are having free-flowing alcohol going on, the sooner you get those lit, the sooner you don't have to give anyone the responsibility of having a lit lighter or a tape or anything like that to have to go and deal with anything like that.
Yeah, especially with all the dry grass and everything we've got at the moment, the forest fires or whatever. God bless everyone's souls.
That's a very good point, actually. If you are thinking about having candles, be responsible with it. We are literally looking like a savannah in our garden right now, so if you're going to be anywhere with green or lack of green space, very yellow looking space, do consider, is it worth having lit candles? And if they are lit candles, are they going to be in a tea light holder or a lantern? Are they going to be secure, or are they going to be tapers? Because if they're tapers and they flick or they fall over, then it could be game over. So I would seriously consider, do you need to have outdoor candles? Can you go with battery powered options instead as an option?
Yes. Hannah has just put up, when going back to the domes, and actually Hannah, this is something we say a lot, well, I'll cover it. When I was speaking with Bayer Hire, that's the company who do the domes we love at the moment, as a top tip for brides, they mentioned as advice to time, think about where you want your outside venue to be placed. Specifically, if it has a clear span section, you want to be facing a nice view. Absolutely, we always say that. Think about, so there's a couple of things we always say, and a couple of them are Sunday night planning session with a glass of wine. So we sit there with your tablets, your laptops, or whatever, your phones, and plan Pinterest. Think about the vision of what you want your day to be. And when it comes to putting your structure up, because I'm not allowed to say marquee anymore, when you put your structure up, you're going to have a working side. See, I still do a triangle. I do the domes. Right, you're going to have a working side, and you're going to have...
when couples play Pictionary.
A view side. So basically, sorry, I realised it was down here. I'm so sorry. So these are your domes. You'll have the back end, which is the working. So your generator will go here, your toilets will go here, for argument's sake. And then you'll have your view side. That's V for view. And that's what you want to look at. And then generally speaking, a head table would be at the back here, something like that, and all the guests scattered around. But absolutely, you will always have a working side and a view side. It's a good top tip from Bayer High. Good to see we're aligned
with that in mind as well, is if you're going to any of these structures, like a dome or marquees that have the curved clear roofs are quite popular at the moment as
Oh,
well.
yes.
And make sure you benefit from the fact that you've got a skylight. You know, you've got a beautiful space above your head, and you've got the stars, and I hope you remember the stars.
Well, as it hits 100 degrees in your marquee.
They come with air conditioning units and stuff
I
these
know.
days. But
Well, you open the doors.
But
yeah.
think about if you've got an open space above. Don't put it under trees. You know, make sure you put it in an open space where you can benefit from the sky rather than being under the shade.
Actually, I mean, tonight is about planning and scheduling. So one of those is, where's the sunset in your venue? You know, if it's in a back garden you use regularly, hopefully you'll know. But weddings go on to the evening, so where does the sun set? Where's the view? Try and work them in. Like when we had ours, we found a field in Dorset that had a view of Corfe Castle in one direction and a view of the Isle of Wight in the other direction, just outside Swanage. So we angled our marquee so some people could see Corfe Castle, but everyone could see the Isle of Wight just because of the angles. So really, absolutely take that into consideration, because those little details, and they are tiny details, can make a massive difference. Can I also apologise publicly? Have you seen the state of my hair? What is going on here? This is not slick as normal. This is hot, bouffant, humid hair. Go on then.
So going into this evening's theme, we touched on this briefly last week, and actually I've been to a site visit this evening, which is why I'm a little bit jaded. We've done a lot of driving today. And it was last week we touched upon timelines and scheduling in when to book suppliers, what suppliers to book, what kind of time frames you need to be thinking about when you're getting suppliers in. And I've actually rejected 3 bookings this week alone for August weddings, expecting to be able to get a 20-tent booking of bell tents and a honeymoon suite for August this year, and simply we haven't got the capacity to do so. So it was a very good highlight for us, especially when we were talking to Hannah in our planning meeting with our blog posts and stuff, about when is the best time to schedule in your suppliers, because I know it's quite a scary thing, especially if you're newly engaged, to start to think about those key suppliers that you want so early on when you're trying to enjoy the, you know, we've just got engaged, we're excited, let's enjoy that ride. But actually, if you have specific dates in mind and you have a very particular idea in mind about how your wedding should be, there are definitely time scales in which you should be starting to think about booking people in. So one thing I would touch on first is, if you have, like I said, if you have a very clear idea of what suppliers you want to work with, the minute you get engaged, make a phone call. Now, just to see what their availability is, because some people work in less than 6 months.
Sorry, email, don't phone us. That's a joke, keep going.
Email, phone, text, whatever you want to do, whatever chosen method. Facebook if you want to, Instagram if you want to. We get a lot of bookings through Instagram these days. Yeah. Just to find out what their lead-in time is for their bookings. For example, we tend to work a year in advance. The majority of our bookings for 2019 will be booked in place by November this year.
Yeah.
We do have availability throughout the summer, but they are anomalies. They may or may not be, you may not get as many as you want. We will try and fit in as many people. We can source tents. But with service-based businesses like marquees, event planners, caterers, anything like that, where it's a service-based business where they are required to be at your event, they have a limited capacity because they can only be in one place at one time. I mean, they may have separate teams, they might be a larger scale business, but if you have a specific catering company or a bar company, they may only have one bar that's available per weekend. And we always talk about having 26 key weekends of the summer. Again, we have capacity to be able to do a couple of weddings a weekend, but we have 26 core weekends where our teams can be out on the ground dealing with your event. Now, if you then try and get us booked in 2 weeks before your event, the likelihood is we're not going to be able to help, and therefore you're going to be disappointed, or you're going to have to then spend hours trawling through Google trying to find alternative suppliers, and then you have the price wars and all that kind of stuff going on. So I would say, if you have very specific ideas about what you want and who you want, make the phone call as soon as possible, and that will also come from having your venue booked soon. The first thing you should ever do is get your venue and your ceremony booked out. Celebrants and registrars, and I think they may be a bit more flexible in timing. So we've spoken to a few celebrants recently.
Well, some have sort of said they're getting booked, you know, sort of 6 months, but others are saying a year. I mean, Hannah put a poll into one of our supplier networking groups, and it really was. There were a few who could deal with last minute stuff, but I do think the vast majority was saying, you know, a year. That doesn't mean last minute stuff doesn't
No.
happen, because we found our photographer for our wedding, who was amazing, who happened to have, I don't know if he had a cancellation or a space, it doesn't really matter, and we managed to squeeze him in with like 6
I would
weeks
say
ago.
anything that has an impact on your day, photographer being a very good example of one, make that phone call earlier rather than later, because it may well be, because a lot of people tend to, I think from speaking to people, especially the brides we worked with, they hold off because they're worried that as soon as they make a booking that means a payment, and that's not always the way, and you'll find that
Keep going. Sorry, there's a lot of nature and
we
birds
are literally
flying
living in like
around
Tales of Farthing Wood right now. There's eagles over there, or kestrels over there, and there's a pigeon up there, and there will be a fox
There
over
was a
there.
squirrel on the line over there. Keep going.
What was I saying? What was my train of thought?
Suppliers booking up, book them up. People are scared to book them.
People are
in
scared
case
of
they
it
have to
because
pay money.
terms and conditions are very different. For example, with Baylily Bell Tents, because we know that's our business, for a wedding booking, especially if you're wanting a guest village, all we require up front is a £250 deposit to hold your date, and then you can open up your bookings up until 6 weeks before your event. So that's all we need to secure your date, to know that there's that input from you that you're definitely going to be holding that date. Photographers might be the same. A lot of people have different payment terms, which means as soon as you book doesn't mean you're going to have to part with shed loads of cash straight away. So find out what their payment terms are, and the sooner you book them in place, the better. Things like prop hire, furniture hire, toilet blocks to an extent, although again they only have a finite amount of stuff to get out.
I don't think it's that set in stone, because
No.
it's really going to depend, right? So if they're amazing, but even then this isn't always 100% gospel. If they're amazing, the chances are they're going to book up sooner, right? So if you really want them, get them booked. But then everyone has cancellations, everyone has things moved. Like we had someone book a wedding with us, and it turned out that they I won't go into detail, but basically they booked it on the stag weekend rather than the wedding weekend, and the stag do was not going to be glamping. So they just booked on great. Luckily we were able to move it, but then on the weekend we had them in for, we now had availability. So
Yeah.
you know, these things do happen. We live in the real world, so nothing's 100%. But fundamentally, if you want them, get them booked in ASAP. Most people, you know, are going to want a deposit. I don't know many who need full payment up front. I mean, it depends if there's a deal going on. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
And
if they have
also,
a deal,
you
they
know,
may want more money up front.
The benefit of early bird bookings is you may get a discount because you're booking so far in advance. So it's always worth finding out. But again, get your pen and paper as soon as you've got engaged, and as soon as you
Do
know
your Sunday night planning session.
your Sunday night planning with your gin, and really do work out what kind of style it is you're going for and what kind of things you're going to be thinking about. Things like,
What do you want your guests to think and
Yeah.
feel?
yeah,
That's what we talk
things
about. What do you
like-
want to see? You know, I love the Sunday night
I
planning
know you
session. I
do,
think it's the
yeah.
single most important thing after you get engaged.
If it's something like a toilet block, for example, now they do get booked out early, and you do need to get them booked in place as well. But if you're not so fussed about what the toilet block brand is or who the company is, then fantastic. You know, don't worry so much about that, getting that done 16, 18
Sorry,
months.
it's probably worth mentioning. Your toilet block is anything from lower than a blue plastic cube
To
all
a
the way
full
up
luxury.
to a luxury toilet block that looks like a shepherd's hut on the outside, and you know.
To me, it's anything like if it's a specific caterer because you have a specific catering request or type of food you want, or you've heard amazing reviews, or you've been to a wedding or an event where they've already served up there and you know what their food's like, and you really, really want those people, definitely get there earlier rather than later. But what we're going to do, we're going to be putting this into a post anyway. Hannah's going to be putting together a whole post about timelines about when you should be scheduling suppliers. But the other thing I was going to touch on, because like I said, I've done it today, is when you have got those suppliers in place, the sooner you can get a site visit in place, the better. Because today I went along I drove an hour to
Sorry.
easy, not West Sussex, and it was a site where they actually hadn't. It was a campsite rather than their venue. They were looking at the glamping site, and they hadn't booked that in place yet. So I got there, and they were like, "Is this okay?" I went, "Yep, it's fine." And they didn't have any more questions. So really think about when you're having a site visit with the supplier. Can you tie in a couple of suppliers at the same time if you're having your structure and bell tents and can you make it that you bring everyone in at not necessarily the same time, but within an hour and a half slot?
I've had that before. In my
Yeah.
previous Marquee World, we were all literally given 30-minute
Yeah.
slots.
The benefit of doing something like that, if it does work, obviously
it saves your time.
Every company has its own issues in terms of what their availability is. But if it works that you can save your time by having everyone on site at the same time, and you can get that planning in, like Alan said, go and see your venue, go and see it in the spring, in the summer, in the autumn, in the winter, see it in different stages.
Yeah. What time does the sun set on your wedding? What direction does the sun set?
Get that kind of core information there, and then get your suppliers, if you need to have a site visit, on site earlier rather than later. The benefits of getting the site visit earlier rather than later, you can have another one later on down the line, is that you can get some of those key questions answered really soon. Do we need to source water? Do we need to source extra power? Do we need to have the marquee guy talking to these guys?
Sorry.
Do you need to get your furniture sourced separately to your structure supplier, because sometimes they don't always supply the infrastructure inside the tent. And get those conversations.
Yeah.
And if you are having several suppliers working alongside each other for separate projects on that wedding, making sure that they have each other's contact details. And if someone needs a power, like a caterer is going to need power for their catering tent, do they speak to you directly? Do they speak to the marquee company directly? Get those conversations happening at an earlier stage rather than later.
Let's make sure, if we're doing a planning blog, then let's make sure we give those 5 questions if it's limited.
The key 5 things you need to be asking at a site visit, if you're going to do a site visit, before you even get the ball rolling with everything like floristry and table decor and fairy lights and all the lovely stuff. The structure and the infrastructure needs to be set first before you can do all the lovely stuff. So think of the top 5 things you need to ask those suppliers when they are in front of you with a pen and paper and a pad to talk about and run through.
Yeah, and I would say, we're in England, in the UK, we are, well, specifically England actually, we're brought up to not trust these companies. I don't know why. It's sort of but do you know what? Trust your suppliers. Ask them for advice. Oh, what do you think? Can I do this or can I do that? They're not just going to whack £10,000 on your bill. They will probably answer your question for you. What a regular one we get asked a lot here, and I used to get asked a lot, is, am I going to need a marquee heater? Yeah. Probably not is the usual answer, depending on when we usually say only the beginning of April and only the end of September actually needed a marquee heater, unless we were having ridiculously cold weather, which we're clearly not.
But we've put together, and there's one on the shop on the outside bride anyway. It's a PDF guide of 10 top tips to think of.
I think it's on Baylily Bell Tents.
Might be on Baylily Bell Tents.
Sorry.
10 top tips to think of when you're looking at your outdoor venue to look at when you're having your initial check of things. And it'll cover everything from tracks. And like today, the track to the campsite where we were looking to put the village was down a very flinty, gravelly, probably about 3/4 of a mile dirt track. And I was in a normal car today rather than our Baylily van, and I was like, I don't know if we're going to get down here. It was really quite, not treacherous, but it was very, very dry, dusty, and the camber of the road was very pronounced. And if you're thinking of having 100 people coming down that track, is that track going to be suitable? So think about things like that, the access in and the access out, where you're going to put your cars, all of that kind of stuff, and get your suppliers, if they're coming for that initial site visit, they'll know. And 9 times out of 10, if you're going to an established venue rather than just a farmer's field, they may have been to those venues before as well, so they might be able to give their own knowledge of what they've been and seen beforehand to other events that might be able to help you with your planning as well. So definitely use your suppliers as much as possible. Now, I know there was a question on the feed just then.
No, it was Louise wrote, and I quite liked this, I was saving this for it, not sure I'd want to get married in this heat, #smugmarried, a smiley face, which I quite like.
That's a very good one actually though. Congratulations for being married already and not getting married in this heat. We put a post this week, Hannah put one up yesterday, of the top 5 mocktails of things you might want to offer your guests at weddings, especially with this heat. It's ridiculously hot at the moment, and I love the heat, and I'm not going to tell it to go away because I will happily have this heat all day long. I'm definitely a sun worshipper rather than someone who likes the rain and grey and snow. But it's a very good point to note. We're in groups, wedding groups and wedding supply groups across Facebook and such like, and we're watching story after story after story at the moment of wedding suppliers literally in meltdown, sorry for the pun, of this heat is ridiculous. One being, there was a very lovely cake maker that I'm aware of who posted a picture of her 3-tier beautiful wedding cake that she had just spent God knows how many hours putting together, because cake makers, they blow my mind how much work they put into their
Yeah,
cake.
yeah, I have to admit, it's on the dark
When
arts for me.
people, and I have to say this as a wedding supplier and as a bridesmaid as well, when people try and devalue cake makers and say, well, I can get that at Tesco's for £2, I'm like, go ahead.
Yeah, you
Because
only see that on some of the Facebook groups.
sometimes
Though.
they just do not understand how many hours work goes into these beautifully handcrafted bespoke wedding designs. Anyway, she put a picture of the end result, this beautiful 3-tier buttercream iced,
Why'd you do that?
because I'm about to tell you, and she put a picture of it at 3:45 p.m. going into a marquee at 3:45 p.m. At 4:10, so 25 minutes later, there is a picture of the entire side of the buttercream has literally gone whoop off the side of the cake because the marquee had got to such a temperature that it just couldn't hold the icing. With that in mind, make choices that are sensible. If you're getting married in the next month and you've got things like that going ahead, make some sensible choices. If you have got a buttercream cake, for example, think about when you're putting it out. A lot of people love to put the cake in the marquee or the teepee or wherever you're getting it as a centre focus point for people to look at. You're not going to be able to do that if you have a buttercream cake in this. Probably with royal icing as well to an extent. It'll go a bit.
You know what my idea was, don't you? A glass-fronted fridge.
Well, you can't always put royal icing in the fridge. That's the thing.
All right, didn't know that, did I?
It's more, but if you've got things like buttercream,
Buttercream,
you could keep it in the fridge for the most amount of time you possibly can before it needs to be cut. Probably just before you want to cut it. Really, it's a shame that you don't display it. You spend a lot of money getting this beautiful handcrafted design being put out there, but ultimately, if it's going to spoil in a matter of minutes because of this ridiculous heat wave, it's not worth it. So I would say things like getting a fridge room or making sure it's cool near fans, or if you can just put it in a shady area, whatever you can do, things like that I would suggest is a really good idea at the moment. Things like bottled water, mocktails like the place we did, anything like that can keep your guests hydrated. Now we all love a drink, and I love a drink, we know I love a gin and tonic, but it's a marathon, not a sprint with a wedding. If you start your wedding at 12, we got married at 12:30.
Oh, come off it. Are you actually giving people advice on staying hydrated?
Offer up.
You don't even drink any water.
Offer up suggestions. You don't have to force them to drink, but offer up refreshing suggestions for people to
Oh yes,
hydrate.
because we all know weddings where all of the gentlemen have gone, I'm not going to have this next beer, I'm going to have a glass. That's like when I was younger, my mum used to tell me to have a beer followed by a Coke when I was out to ensure I didn't get too drunk. Okay, mummy.
Not everyone is like you. Get some big Kilner jar dispensers. You can get them really...
And when you're feeling slightly merry, then stop and have some water.
Are you done?
No, I'm just warming up.
Things like making sure, in this heat as well, making sure that you have baskets in your toilet area, your washroom areas, making sure you've definitely got bug spray because the midges are out in full force right now at this time of evening. Making sure that you have refreshing sprays and deodorants, all that kind of stuff will help your guests feel a bit more chilled and relaxed. Making sure that if you are wearing a very long, thick, full-skirted dress, that you maybe investing in a bustle so your skirts aren't too, around.
Has
your
this
ankles.
gone off onto a hot weather ramble?
A little bit.
Right.
It was a heat wave thing, and I'm just trying to think of some alternative ideas. Making sure that if
No one asked about it.
You're really not very nice today. Go back to your mates
No,
over there, okay?
There's a wood pile
making
there.
sure you think about if you can get some cheap fans or some air conditioning, some marquees put air conditioning units in. What are your options? Get the sides rolled up. If you've got zip sides, get them rolled up. Get the airflow coming through, and everyone will have a great old time. And ultimately, the sun's awesome. We were bemoaning last year how wet it was. This year, we're at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm loving it. So enjoy the sun because we may not get it again. So
we may not get. Oh my goodness! You go over there and hang out with your mates. All right. We may not ever get the sun again.
You know what I mean? It's like we enjoy whatever the situation, because in August we might get torrential rain all month. We probably won't, but enjoy what we have when we have it because it's glorious. And if you get weather like this and everyone can spill out onto the grass together and have an amazing time, fantastic in my opinion. You're
Anyway.
really horrible.
I'm not really horrible. Nothing. I'm not really horrible.
Thanks for the love hearts, whoever put the love hearts. I know I'm right.
I think they were at me giving you hassle. Right. No one said you were wrong. It was just a ramble.
Don't say that. No.
Don't say what?
No, Laura, sorry, no. There will be 0 rain in August. 0 rain. Laura's getting married in August around the 18th, 19th weekend. Definitely forecast.
Well, the forecast is good, isn't it? So I can't see why it's going to stop anytime soon. Anyway, look. On that note, let's wrap it up for tonight.
Unless anyone has any further questions,
we did say it was going to be the running order of the day as well. So we'll save the running order for next week, and we'll get a blog out on scheduling and working with suppliers, etc. Laura says you brought it back. Try living with her, Laura. It takes a lot more than that. Right, and so next week we will work on like running order of the day plus inane banter. So we've been going for 35 minutes, 5 minutes answering and talking about the actual topic, and 30 minutes of inane random banter.
With that in mind, with Alan's point about us doing the running order of the day next week, if you could help us out a little bit, future brides of 2018/19. If you could let us know what time of day you're getting married, that'd be really helpful, because we can start to gauge, do an overall kind of timeline date of what the average wedding is.
We can put a poll in, actually.
We got married at 12:30 because we
wanted to make a long day of it. Yeah.
But a lot of you are getting married at 4 p.m, 3 p.m. So let us know. We'll put a thing in the group today of what time people are getting married generally, so we can start to tailor that.
Right, you can put that poll in then. Right, that is it. Thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed the different view of the garden. 1:15, Laura says.
Good time.
I hope you all heard the motorbike going past then as well. And yes, enjoy the weather. It is absolutely amazing. And yes, don't have that alcohol. Have a glass of water, or do what I do: smash a load of water out throughout the day, and then you can just go for your life. Next week I'll make sure my hair is looking slightly better.
We're at 3 weddings this weekend. We're hoping that everyone has a lovely weekend, whatever they're
doing.
Yeah,
any of you getting married this weekend? We got 3 on, haven't we?
Yeah, we have got 3.
So very exciting. We are crisscrossing across. Crisscross going to make you jump all over Hampshire. Boom, 90s reference.
I get to live with him forever.
Yeah, and thanks for your positivity. And right, that's it. I think we've both gone off on a random one now. Right,
it's the change of angle.
It's thrown us off. There's a few things. Also, I'm drinking tequila tonight, not gin. It's Don Julio Reposado, if anyone cares. It's a sipping tequila, not a shooting tequila. Highly recommended if you do like a drink and fancy trying something different. It's my birthday a month today.
Oh, and also, very, very quickly, it has been suggested, I was talking about doing a gin blog, because I am a little bit obsessed with gin, and I have been for many years, and we might be doing a bit of a guest gin blog on my behalf on the Outside Bride, coming up with some of my favourites.
Excuse me, apologies for yawning.
Emily's
waffling. Come on, just...
reception cocktails, gin cocktails and things like that. So if anyone's interested, let me know. I'll definitely start writing about that. All right.
Cool. Later. Right, thank you very much. Sorry, I keep getting notifications.
It's not been our best.
No, it hasn't. Well, no, I think it's been fine, but I wouldn't say... It's been good, but not the slickest, I think is the correct phrase. But we're international, so that's always a winner. Right, everyone, thank you very, very much. Have a fantastic evening. Enjoy the weather. Tomorrow's meant to be super hot. We've got he will be 3 tomorrow, 3-year-old's birthday tomorrow. So trying to decide what to do with him, where we're not going to have 3 melting kids. So good luck, all parents out there. Sundays.
Ice cream Sundays.
Oh, right. Yeah, so I think that's what we're going to do. Thumbs up, whoever gave us thumbs up. I love that. Have fun. Look forward to seeing you all next week and in the group in the next 7 days. We love it. Take care. Have a fab weekend and fab day. Bye.